Concerns arising over reports North Korea could have restarted a reactor at its Youngjae nuclear facility. Some analysts say attempting to kickstart such outdated technology could have potentially disastrous results. It turns out Korea's National Pension Corporation has invested more than $300 million in dozens of Japanese corporations that forced Koreans to work for them during Japan's colonial rule of Korea. Plus, with fall just around the corner, wildflowers are heralding the start of the new season high in Korea's mountains. We'll take a look at some fall blossoms at Mount Sobek. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Friday, September 13th. I'm Mark Broom. Red flags are being raised over speculation North Korea could be restarting a plutonium-producing reactor at its Youngjae nuclear facility. Some analysts have warned that switching on outdated and poorly maintained technology and equipment could have potentially dire consequences for the Korean peninsula.
After hearing that North Korea may be reoperating its nuclear reactor in Youngjae, Russia expressed concern of a potential calamity. A Russian diplomatic source told Interfax news agency that North Korea is up to something at Youngjae, and based on a number of signs, Pyongyang appears to be moving toward restarting the reactor. The source said that the facility, built in the 1950s, is in poor shape, and if it becomes activated, this could bring about disaster on the Korean peninsula. U.S. Special Representative for North Korea Policy Glenn Davies, who is visiting China, also expressed serious concerns over North Korea.
If it turns out that these reports are true, that North Korea has restarted the 5-megawatt plutonium reactor, this would be a very serious matter.
The International Atomic Energy Agency says it does not have the facts yet and is trying to confirm if the speculation is true. Earlier, 38 North, a North Korea portal run by a Johns Hopkins University think tank, said that based on satellite photos taken on August 31st, the Youngjae reactor has been activated or has nearly reached that stage.
It has emerged that the National Pension Corporation has invested more than $300 million in dozens of Japanese corporations that forced Koreans to work for them during Japan's brutal colonial rule of Korea. It also turns out that half of them are in the red, which raises the question of why the NPC invested in them in the first place.
This is the list of Japanese war crime companies. It was drafted by the Commission on Verification and Support for the Victims of Forced Mobilization under Japanese colonialism in Korea. A survey has revealed that of 1,493 Japanese companies that forced Koreans to work for them during Japanese imperialism, 299 still exist. 42 of them have been receiving investments from the National Pension Corporation. The total invested amount so far exceeds $300 million. The corporation directly invested in 17 of them, such as Mitsubishi, Panasonic, Asahi Glass, and Japan Iron and Steel. 17 of the companies in question are in the red. Their investment losses reach $16 million. The National Pension Corporation is now facing sharp criticism for its unjustified investments. Meanwhile, the victims of Japanese forced labor and their families are paying their mandatory pension contributions to this day.
Controversy is growing over the selection of Korea's new fighter jet. With the deal nearing completion, former Air Force chiefs of staff say the military should reconsider its decision to purchase Boeing's F-15 Silent Eagle.
Competition had been fierce between the three candidates for the Korean military's new fighter jet. But the U.S.'s Lockheed Martin F-35 and Europe's EADS Eurofighter were eliminated from the race. This is because the costs do not match up to the government's budget of around $8 billion. The last procedure left is a Defense Acquisition Program meeting to be held after the Chuseok holiday. Hosted by the defense minister, it will decide whether to select the F-15 Silent Eagle or reevaluate it from the beginning. Meanwhile, 15 former Air Force chiefs of staff are opposed to the adoption of the F-15. They sent the president a message stating that the standard F-15 SE model was outdated, having been made in the 70s, and that doubts are being raised over remodeling it. Evaluations should not be based on just the price, but through a comprehensive evaluation. They pointed out that adopting a high-tech fighter can even change the concept of military strategy, and because of this, the state's strategic judgment must come first. But the Defense Acquisition Program Administration says that restarting the process from scratch would be impossible, since solving the Air Force's lack of manpower was more urgent. The administration is soon planning to report the evaluation results to the presidential office, but has hit a snag due to the opposition of former chiefs of staff.
The death of a pregnant first lieutenant at her frontline unit earlier this year has triggered calls for sweeping new guidelines on pregnancy and childbirth in the military.
28-year-old First Lieutenant Youngjae was serving in the Gangwon Province unit, following in the footsteps of her father and grandfather, who both were commissioned officers. At 7 months of pregnancy, she still worked more than 12 hours a day and eventually died of cerebral hemorrhage in February.
저 인제군에는 산부인과가 없어가지고요. 예, 그렇게 된 거죠. 춘천하고 속초에 산부인과가 있습니다. 군 위수지역을 벗어나는 거죠.
At the time, the army denied the fact that her death was caused by overwork and said that she died of pregnancy-induced hypertension. But after the Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission stepped in, the army belatedly recognized that E died in action due to overwork. The possibility of similar tragedies involving female officers remains high in the Army. Of the 16 military hospitals in the country, only 5 have the departments of obstetrics and gynecology. Among the 2,000 Army surgeons, only 5 are gynecologists. The South Korean Army has some 8,300 female soldiers and officers. The Defense Minister plans to raise the percentage of women in uniform from the current 4 to 6% by 2020. But to make that happen, the enlisted women must gain access to health care during pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare.
Under Korean law, all public facilities are required to have external defibrillators available to save the lives of those who suddenly suffer heart attacks. Sounds good, right? But it turns out that most people have no idea where they are located or what they even do.
Seoul and local governments set a law obligating public facilities to install external defibrillators. Using one is quite simple. You just follow the machine's instructions.
환자의 상의를 제거하고 패드를 환자에게 밀착되게 부착하십시오.
The machine costs more than $3,700 per unit, but they're rarely used. At a subway station in Seoul, one shop owner who works near a defibrillator said that she didn't even know where to find it or what the device is used for. At Seoul Station, 11 defibrillators are installed. The handle for opening the device is covered with plastic, making access nearly impossible. It's used for preventing theft, but it makes it difficult for a patient in an urgent situation to open it.
부수지 않는 이상은 못 열 것 같은데요.
It's also hard to know how much the devices are actually used. The Seoul city government is planning to develop a web map or application showing their locations. Presently, around 7,000 defibrillators have been installed nationwide, and until last year, more than $9.2 million were invested.
Up until now, it's been the stuff of Hollywood's sci-fi imagination, but technology that allows users to play games just by touching a transparent glass screen could soon become a reality.
A brain image is scanned and information is entered into a translucent screen. This is a scene from a movie, but something similar is likely to happen in real life soon. 2 people standing on each side of a translucent glass wall draw colorful pictures with their hands. They can also play a game of flipping alphabet letters. This is a new concept medium called Transwall. It works by touching both sides of a transparent glass wall. It was developed by researchers from the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. The Transwall has a holographic screen film inserted between 2 glass sheets and beam projectors that shoot images onto the wall from each side. This glass wall can be used at theme parks and shopping malls to exchange sensory information.
사람들이 오가면서 어떤 TV 콘텐츠를 보거나 뉴스를 보다가 가까이 다가가면은 게임 콘텐츠가 나올 수 있습니다.
The researchers will soon commercialize the technology by transferring it to businesses.
Now, with fall just around the corner, wildflowers are heralding the start of a new season high in the mountains. Let's take a look at some of the fall blossoms at Mount Sobek.
Maple leaves already begin turning red in the deep valleys of Mount Sobek. 1,300 meters above sea level, the royal azalea leaves have turned brown while autumn flowers begin to bloom. They include Siberian chrysanthemums, purple wolfbanes shaped like a Roman soldier's helmet, and light green splintery blossoms of a marsh plant known as surichi in Korean. You can also see both asters and thistles at this time of year.
봄에 철쭉만 알려져 있는데 여름 야생화하고 가을 야생화가 어우러져 갖고 천상의 아온을 이루고 있습니다.
There are also crane's bills that peak during summer, bellflowers that blossom in summer and early fall, and gold-colored valerians that appear from late summer through the autumn.
여러 야생화들이 아주 잘 보존되어 있는 지역이라 아주 지금 감상을 잘하면서 지금 가고 있습니다.
The mountain was barren until the 1980s, and restoration began in the 1990s. Now the plants have all come back to life. All the efforts put in to revive the environment is paying off with the wonderful wild flowers of autumn.
Member of hit boy band 2PM, Chan Song, is to play a lead role in a TV show. And Youngjae is holding a special screening event dedicated to his 20 years as one of Korea's finest actors.
Singer Chan Song, who is a member of the popular music group 2PM, has landed his first leading role in a TV show. Chan Song will play the youngest member of an organized crime ring in the KBS TV2 show Your Noir. His character one day realizes that the wife of a prosecutor who is chasing him was his school teacher he once had a crush on. The pilot episode of the show will air October 2nd. Actor Youngjae debuted in 1994 in director Bae Chang-ho's movie Young Man. A special screening event has opened to celebrate the 20th anniversary of E's debut. It showcases 15 of E's best films. On September 28th, the actor will also meet with his fans in person. Veteran actress Hwang Jung-soon, who is battling dementia, was hospitalized on September 9th as her symptoms worsened. Hwang's family says she can no longer recognize her loved ones and is unable to eat. Hwang debuted in 1940 at the age of 15 and appeared in more than 500 films and theater plays.
In our fast-paced modern world, everyday items can go from useful to obsolete in the blink of an eye. But historians are finding cultural value in some machines of the past.
In Yeoju, Gyeonggi Province, antique cars ranging from 30 to 100 years old are parked at the bottom of a hill. A classic car comes flying in to take its place. It's called a pony. In the late 1970s, half of the cars on the streets of Seoul's Jongno were ponies like this one.
75년이니까 금년 30년 된 이상 지금으로는 대박이지. 이 차가 이렇게 잘 나왔느냐 하고 그 호응이 아주 굉장히 좋았어요.
The pony was the first vehicle mass-produced in Korea, in production for a decade from 1975. The pony owes its handsome looks to an Italian designer.
70년대에 자동차를 소유했으면 지금으로 말하면 부자 쪽에 들어갔죠. 자동차 하나 있다. 그 집 부자구나. 그렇게 생각했어요.
This pony is nearly 40 years old, but thanks to regular maintenance, it still runs flawlessly. The interior is a bit crude, and since there's no air conditioning, the driver cools himself off by rolling down the windows, which, by the way, are manual. This is how cars looked back in the day. And the pony became the foundation of the Korean car industry.
우리가 디자인해서 우리가 설계해서 만든 자동차가 지금 포니원이 우리나라의 최초의 자동차라고 뿌듯하잖아. 그런 마음으로 이제 우리도 하고 있어.
Until the 1980s, few Koreans knew how to type. It was considered an advanced skill. Back then, many young women trained to become typists to land a good job in an office.
영어에 토익 이런 시험이 있듯이 상고생들 타자수에는 메타를 치고 하느냐 1급, 2급 이런 급수 이런 시험이 있었어요. 그러면은 취직이 잘 됐죠.
The most famous typewriter in Korea was the Gongbyung-woo typewriter, which was developed in 1949. Through Korea's rapid industrialization from the 1970s, the use of typewriters gradually increased. And until computers were introduced, typewriters played a key role in workplace efficiency. Ophthalmologist Gong Byung-woo invented the eponymous first Korean typewriter. From his encounters with Hangul scholar Lee Gung-no in the late 1930s, Dr. Gong grew interested in mechanizing the Korean alphabet. Dr. Gong finally developed a typewriter layout with the keys divided into 3 groups. To the day he died, Dr. Gong was said to have worked with his students on mechanizing the Korean alphabet in the most efficient way. Technical advances soon cast these life-enriching innovations to the dustbins of history. But historians are now re-evaluating these obsolete machines as historical treasures, offering a glimpse into the past.
And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll be taking a break next week for Chuseok, but have a great weekend and a fabulous Chuseok.